So what's going on, guys? My name is MrDalekJD, and in today's video we're going to be delving deeper into the Black Ops 3 storyline, and we're going to be focusing on the Kronorium. Now, if you've no idea what the Kronorium is, then let's jump back in time to April, where this was first introduced, and Call of Duty done a tweet talking about the bio of Shadows of Evil. Within that it says, as four newly cursed souls banded together to defy the undead horrors of Morgue City, Richtofen began to set his grand plans in motion. Armed with the knowledge gained from the Kronorium, Richtofen entered the dimension with a singular goal: to secure the summoning key from the grasp of the Keepers. Now, back then we had no real idea what the Kronorium was. We know that there's a 2-year gap between Origins and the Giant, where Richtofen went off and learned a bunch of knowledge to basically set the entire plans of Black Ops 3 Zombies into motion, and now finally we know what it is. The Call of Duty Zombies comic book series is going to explain exactly how Richtofen came to acquire the Kronorium, but in Gorod Krovi we have tons of ciphers of extracts of text from the Kronorium, which is a book. It's a book that Richtofen learnt from for the 2 years in between Origins and the Giant, which has taught him everything about everything. And we get a small glimpse of some of the things that he learned in these ciphers on Gorod Krovi. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at all of the ciphers that are to do with Kronorium extracts, and we're going to be talking about what they mean, which is extremely exciting for the story, as this delves super deep. So without any delay, let's get going. Now, this first cipher is a Navajo cipher and was solved by WaterKH, so big shout out to you. He's been doing some great work lately with the ciphers, and this translates to Kronorium Excerpt B. To allow quick travel between dimensions, they Keepers created they transference device, which is powered by they ether. They Keepers have placed structures throughout their realms. So from that, we now know exactly how the Keepers travel between the dimensions really fast, and that's by a transference device they have created themselves, which is powered by the ether, which is extremely interesting. And it also tells us the Keepers have placed structures in specific places throughout the realms that they know they need to quick travel to. It's extremely interesting as well, and could be the fact they've placed structures in all of the maps in all the universes we've been to currently. Now, this next one is fantastically interesting news, and this one is a Pigpen cipher, again solved by WaterKH. This is Kronorium Excerpt 654371979. Once the Great War ended with the defeat of the Apothicons, the Keepers ascended to become the wards of all universes. The surviving Apothicons were cast out, banished to the dark ether beneath creation. After ions of exile in the dark ether, the Apothicons evolved into twisted creatures that now bear little resemblance to their Keeper brethren. The Apothicons' ceaseless desire is to re-enter creation to consume and corrupt all the universes. It is the Keepers that guard against these perpetual attempts to re-enter creation and guard against any beings that may have fallen under the influence of the Apothicons. Now, what exactly does that tell us? Well, that tells us the entire storyline of Black Ops 3 Zombies. As we see within Shadows of Evil, we have the Keepers which we're now actually trying to attack, which does not really make a lot of sense. And that's because these Keepers have actually been banished to the Dark Ether and evolved into the Apothicons. There was a time after the Great War ended with the defeat of the Apothicons, which to me is premise, and the Keepers became the all-ultimate wards of all the universes to keep look on them and to make sure there is no evil. Now, the surviving Apothicons were cast out and were banished to a different realm called the Dark Ether, which is something we've never heard before. We've obviously heard of the Ether, but we've never heard of the Dark Ether. And here is where the Apothicons evolved into twisted creatures that now bear little resemblance to their Keeper brethren. So at some point, Apothicons and Keepers were once the same, and they were brethren to each other. But now these are much different, and these are the sort of things that we see within Shadows of Evil, such as the Shadow Man, the Margwas, the Parasites, and that's why for a really ridiculous amount of time the Keepers have been hidden under Morgue City, protecting and guarding against attempts of the Apothicons to re-enter creation. And of course, when we get into Shadows of Evil, we actually accidentally release the Apothicons when we collect all the rituals. Now, we also see a Keeper within Der Eisendrache that somehow Dr. Groff manages to corrupt, and in the end we have to fight this huge Keeper keeper. It's at that point the keeper was a normal keeper, but until then, with the Dr. Groff and us fighting it, the keeper was somehow corrupted and now fell under the influence of the Apothicons. This sort of stuff is so interesting, man. This lore is incredible, and we can see the Great War taking place in the shadows of evil Pack-a-Punch, but that message takes place afterwards where they were banished and were defeated, but there was still a few surviving Apothicons which hid, banished to the Dark Ether. Here is another cipher. This is a Baydot cipher that was solved by Saggy Berry. Shout out to you, my man. And I'm not sure that this is a Kronorium extract, but it basically sums up what we just said. And this cipher says, in the beginning there were only the keepers, but then corruption of the Dark Ether leached its way into the realm and twisted the minds of some of the keepers. These keepers turned to shadows of their former selves and eventually became the Apothicons, which is just another way to explain how the Apothicons came to be, that there was somehow corruption of the Dark Ether which leaked its way into the realm of the minds of some of the keepers, and that's where we see them in Shadows of Evil as the Apothicons. Here we have an excerpt from the Kronorium which basically explains to Richtofen why the summoning key was so important. This is excerpt 349561223. The summoning key is one of the oldest artifacts in all creation. It was used by the first one to mix all the dimensions with life, giving each one its unique balance. Under certain circumstances, it has the ability to form bridges between dimensions, allowing the transfer of life forces back and forth. It resides in the 63rd dimensions of creation. Now, there's interesting wording here when it says it was used by the first one. This could be a slight little hint to Primus there, as that's what Primus means, first. Used by the first one to mix all the dimensions with life. What if the Primus characters use the summoning key to mix all the dimensions with life, giving each one its unique balance? There would never be too much evil, there wouldn't be too much good. It would be a unique, fine balance where everything would be normal. Just a little theory there, and then right at the end it says it has the ability to form bridges between dimensions, allowing the transfer of life forces back and forth. That's something that we've seen so far. We've taken the life of our 1.0 versions, we saw them transferred at the end, but interesting the wording there, now the transfer of life forces back and forth. So not only can we have life forces from the something into the summoning key, but also vice versa, where we can give the souls from the summoning key into something to give it a new breath of life. That's something we've not seen yet, and Jason Blundell's also said we've not really done any real summoning yet with the summoning key, so the real abilities of it has not been fully explained yet, which is extremely exciting. And at the end it says it resides in the 63rd dimensions of creation. Now, I'm not sure if Shadows of Evil is that 63rd dimensions of creation. To me, it feels like the summoning key has actually been doing a lot of traveling itself. We see it in a crate with a bunch of postage stickers on it from all over the world, so I doubt that this is the 63rd dimension, and there's a hidden story as to why the summoning key even is there in Shadows of Evil. Now, this last and final Kronorium excerpt is 27101978. The life force from the dead world allows the bearer to flow with all creation. Now, this is extremely exciting, as if we put ourselves in the mindset of Edward Richtofen, he is collecting the life force from the dead world through the summoning key, and it says that it allows the bearer to flow with all creation. So what sort of power could Richtofen manipulate and use that for? We don't really know at this point. So far, we only see Nikolai, Takio, and Dempsey 1.0 fly from the summoning key into the ether. Where Richtofen and the Shadow Man's soul is, we aren't sure. They could still be in the key, or they could have either escaped as the Shadow Man's, or Richtofen never collected his original soul, because we don't really see the process of the actual summoning key being used in that cutscene. So it's extremely weird, and we aren't quite sure. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section of that last one, and anything that's been mentioned so far. If there's any points from the Kronorium which I haven't brought up, which you guys have thought of, make sure to put it down below in the comment section. There are currently 2 ciphers left on Gorod Krovi, which still aren't solved yet. I'll update you guys on those if they are super interesting enough, and if there are any more excerpts from the Kronorium found, I'll definitely update you guys as well. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. I'll be sure to update you guys with some more storyline stuff in a little while, and I'll catch you in another one soon.